19-year-old Aniah Blanchard was just making a quick stop. It was late, but the Chevron station off I-85 in Auburn, Alabama was brightly lit and only a short drive from her home. She'd been texting with a friend earlier that evening, talking about dinner plans, life, and everything normal. Nothing felt out of place. But within hours, Aniah was gone. Her phone went silent, and her car disappeared. Soon, the search for a missing college student would unravel into something far more terrifying. Surveillance footage, blood evidence, and a suspect with a violent past raised a chilling question. How could a man like that still have been walking free? The answer would shake the state, lead to a new law, and devastate a family who just wanted their daughter to return.
Abnormia.
Welcome to Murder You, an Abnormia original, a true crime series exploring the most shocking murders worldwide. I'm your host, Maddie. This week's episode is the tragic case of Aniah Blanchard. Before we begin, please like and subscribe to our channel for all the latest Murder You content. Let's get started. Aniah Haley Blanchard was born on June 22, 2000 in Alabama. From a young age, she was known for her bright smile, compassionate spirit, and love of sports. She was especially close with her family, including her stepfather, UFC fighter Walt Harris, who often spoke about how much she meant to him. Aniah graduated from Homewood High School, where she was a standout athlete and played on the softball team. After high school, she enrolled at Southern Union State Community College in Opelika, Alabama, where she pursued a degree in early childhood education. She dreamed of one day working with kids and making a difference in their lives. At the time of her disappearance, Aniah was living independently for the first time, navigating young adulthood with optimism and ambition.
It was not quite 11 p.m. on October 23, 2019, when 19-year-old Aniah Blanchard pulled into a Chevron gas station on South College Street in Auburn, Alabama. She had been texting with a friend earlier that evening, making plans to come by. The stop was quick. She parked her black 2017 Honda CR-V, went inside alone, and grabbed a few items. Surveillance footage shows her at the counter, paying for a snack and a drink. She glanced down at her phone. Nothing about her behavior suggested fear or urgency. Then, she walked out of frame. She never made it to her friend's house.
The following day, her mother, Angela Harris, knew something was wrong. When Aniah missed her check-ins and didn't show up overnight, Angela started calling. Every call went straight to voicemail. That wasn't normal. Aniah always lets someone know where she is. She lived in Auburn, but stayed in close contact with her family in Homewood. Angela began calling hospitals and then contacted the police. Her daughter wasn't answering, and no one had heard from her since the night before. Auburn police officially filed a missing persons report on the afternoon of October 24th. Within hours, Aniah's name and photo were circulating online. As is so often the case with missing Black women and victims from other marginalized groups, investigators initially said they didn't believe Blanchard was the victim of foul play. Unlike other cases, however, this one got plenty of attention from the start, partly because Aniah had a famous stepfather. Her family, along with her stepfather, UFC heavyweight Walt Harris, took to social media to urge anyone with information to come forward. As the story gained traction, strangers began helping too, resharing posts, organizing search efforts, and distributing flyers across Auburn and surrounding counties.
It's a shame that it took having a famous family member to pressure law enforcement into taking the case of a missing Black woman seriously. Still, at least they were mobilizing the needed resources to search for Aniah.
2 days after Aniah disappeared, police located her vehicle. A resident in Montgomery, about 55 miles southwest of Auburn, reported an abandoned black SUV sitting near their apartment complex. Officers confirmed it was Aniah's Honda CR-V. It had damage to the passenger side front fender and door, damage that hadn't been there before. The SUV had been left parked in an unusual spot, backed into a tight space. Inside, police found evidence that immediately escalated the case: a significant amount of blood. DNA testing later confirmed it belonged to Aniah. At that point, detectives believed they were no longer dealing with a voluntary disappearance. There were no signs that Aniah had left on her own. Her purse and other belongings were missing, and her phone showed no activity. Whoever had taken her car to Montgomery had tried to hide it, but hadn't bothered to clean it. As investigators worked backwards from the abandoned vehicle, they reviewed Aniah's last known location, the Chevron on South College Street. The surveillance footage confirmed what the family already knew. She had gone into the store alone around 10:45 p.m. and was last seen exiting just before 11. But there was something else in the video. A few minutes after Aniah entered, a man walked in behind her. He didn't buy anything. He lingered toward the back, watching. When Aniah left, so did he. The mysterious man wore a camouflage hoodie, dark pants, and a black cap pulled low. His posture was hunched, and his movements were deliberate. He walked behind Aniah in the same direction, but never looked directly at the camera. Police quickly released still images from the surveillance video and requested assistance in identifying the man.
Investigators had already received a troubling tip. A witness saw a man matching that description outside the gas station, nearing Aniah's car. According to the statement, he seemed to be forcing a woman into the vehicle against her will. The police did not yet have a name, but they were closing in on one. Once they had a name, they discovered something even more alarming. He never should have been on the streets to begin with.
The man seen on surveillance footage that night was identified as 29-year-old Ibrahim Yazid. He was already known to law enforcement, not just in Auburn, but across multiple counties. In fact, Yazid's criminal record spanned nearly a decade and included charges ranging from robbery and assault to attempted murder. At the time of Aniah's disappearance, Yazid was out on bond already for a case that left another man hospitalized. In February 2019, Ibrahim Yazid was arrested for a violent robbery that took place in Montgomery, Alabama. According to court documents, Yazid and another man broke into a hotel room and attacked two men inside. One of the victims, a 77-year-old man, was beaten so severely he was left with life-threatening injuries and was reportedly near death when authorities arrived. During the attack, the victims were robbed of items including a Rolex watch, credit cards, and a handgun. Yazid was charged with attempted murder, 2 counts of first-degree kidnapping, 2 counts of first-degree robbery, and possession of marijuana. Yazid's criminal history included prior violent offenses, but despite his record and the severity of those charges, a judge allowed Yazid to walk free. Just months later, he crossed paths with Aniah Blanchard. NBC News spoke with Aniah's stepfather, Walt, about Yazid being given bond despite his criminal record. To say the least, it's upsetting. Walt Harris said of the man suspected of kidnapping and killing his stepdaughter, "That you have a rap sheet as long as what I've been told and you're walking around free. It's confusing how a person that bad and that evil can be amongst us." According to investigators, Yazid was confirmed to have been at the Chevron station within minutes of Aniah's arrival. Surveillance footage showed him following her inside, watching her from a distance, then walking out after she exited. What happened next wasn't captured on camera, but a witness later told police he saw Yazid forcing a woman into a black SUV outside the gas station. The witness didn't intervene, but their statement became a key piece of evidence in the case against Ibrahim Yazid. Cell phone data also placed Yazid in the area that night. Auburn police worked quickly with state and federal agencies to triangulate tower pings, track digital footprints, and secure warrants. By early November, investigators had enough evidence to issue an arrest warrant for Ibrahim Yazid on suspicion of kidnapping. He was spotted days later in Escambia County, Florida, over 150 miles from where Aniah had last been seen. A U.S. Marshals Fugitive Task Force arrested him at a motel. Yazid was reportedly found alone, hiding in a room, with visible injuries to his face and eye. In public statements, police were careful not to declare Aniah deceased. But the charges filed against Yazid suggested what they now believed. The kidnapping warrant included language that pointed to serious physical harm and intent to terrorize, an indication that investigators no longer viewed this as just an abduction. They were searching for a victim, yes, but increasingly, it looked like a recovery, not a rescue. Back in Alabama, Yazid was booked into the Lee County Jail without bond. Prosecutors immediately cited his history of violent offenses and the outstanding charges still pending in Montgomery. The fact that Yazid had been released on bond while awaiting trial for attempted murder and now stood accused in a second brutal crime sparked public outrage. For Aniah's family, the pain of her disappearance was now layered with disbelief. They wanted more than justice, they wanted answers. How could someone like Ibrahim Yazid, who was already facing serious charges, have been allowed back on the streets? The more that emerged about his background, the harder it became to ignore that question. On November 25, 2019, nearly a month after Aniah Blanchard vanished, investigators received a tip that led them to a wooded area off County Road 2 in Macon County, Alabama. There, they discovered human remains several feet into the tree line. The area was remote and densely wooded, making it an unlikely spot for someone to stumble upon by chance. Law enforcement believes the location was chosen as the ideal dumping ground to conceal a body. 2 days later, the Alabama Department of Forensic Sciences confirmed that the remains belonged to Aniah Blanchard. An autopsy revealed that she had died from a gunshot wound. The discovery shifted the investigation from a missing person case to a homicide. In the wake of this confirmation, charges against Ibrahim Yazid were upgraded from first-degree kidnapping to capital murder. Prosecutors announced their intention to seek the death penalty. Yazid was indicted on 3 counts of capital murder during a kidnapping, during a robbery, and involving a victim in a vehicle. 2 other men were also arrested in connection with the case. Antwain Squirmy Fisher was charged with first-degree kidnapping, accused of assisting Yazid in disposing of evidence and providing transportation. David Johnson Jr. faced charges of hindering prosecution. However, charges against both men were later dismissed. Prosecutors stated that Fisher's conduct did not meet the legal threshold for accomplice liability, and Johnson's charges were dropped without prejudice. The discovery of Aniah Blanchard's remains brought a measure of closure to her family, but also intensified their grief. Angela Harris, Aniah's mother, expressed profound sorrow over the loss of her daughter. The community mourned alongside them, holding vigils and memorials to honor Aniah's memory. As the legal proceedings against Yazid progressed, the case continued to garner national attention, highlighting issues within the criminal justice system and prompting calls for reform.
At the time of Aniah Blanchard's abduction and murder, Ibrahim Yazid was out on bond for a separate case involving kidnapping and attempted murder. Despite his extensive criminal history, which includes prior arrests for robbery and assault, he had been granted bail. This decision allowed him to remain free, ultimately leading to Aniah's tragic death.
Aniah's mother, Angela Harris, expressed profound frustration with the judicial system, stating, "The justice system failed my daughter." Determined to prevent similar tragedies, she became an advocate for bail reform in Alabama. Her efforts culminated in the proposal of Aniah's Law, aimed at expanding the criteria under which judges could deny bail to individuals charged with violent crimes. Aniah's Law was designed to address the gaps in Alabama's bail system that previously allowed repeat violent offenders to be released. The law permits judges to deny bail to defendants charged with serious offenses, such as murder, kidnapping, rape, and other violent felonies. This legislative change aims to enhance public safety by ensuring that individuals who pose a significant threat to public safety remain in custody pending trial. The Alabama House of Representatives passed Aniah's Law in February 2020, followed by the Senate in April 2021. Governor Kay Ivey signed the bill into law in June 2021. In November 2022, Alabama voters approved the constitutional amendment, solidifying the law's place in the state's legal framework. Angela Harris's advocacy transformed personal tragedy into a catalyst for systemic change. Her unwavering commitment to justice not only honors Aniah's memory, but also serves to protect other potential victims from similar fates. Nearly 6 years have passed since Aniah Blanchard's life was cut short. Her family continues to await justice. The trial for Ibrahim Yazid, the man accused of her murder, has faced multiple delays. As of May 2025, it is scheduled to begin in the spring of 2025. Aniah's mother has continued channeling her grief into advocacy, ensuring that Aniah's story leads to meaningful change. Along with getting Aniah's law enacted, Angela founded Aniah's Heart, an organization dedicated to teaching self-defense and promoting situational awareness. The initiative aims to empower individuals, especially young women, to protect themselves against dangerous predators like Ibrahim Yazid. Aniah's legacy is one of resilience and transformation. Her family's unwavering commitment ensures that her memory continues to inspire change and protect others. Aniah Blanchard's story is one of profound loss that highlights how holes in our justice system can lead to terrible tragedies that could have been avoided. Ibrahim Yazid was out on bail for nearly killing a 77-year-old man in a violent robbery. He had a long rap sheet and should never have been allowed to kidnap and kill Aniah. In a CBS's 48 Hours episode titled Fighting for Aniah, Blanchard's roommate, Sarah O'Brien, revealed that one of Aniah's biggest fears was being kidnapped or murdered. It's just so heartbreaking to think about.
Aniah Blanchard's killer exploited a loophole in Alabama law, allowing him to destroy more lives with his violent psychopathic behavior. This case captured the public's attention, partly because of Aniah's UFC fighter stepfather, but even more so because of who Aniah Blanchard is. She was a bright, positive, and inspiring young woman whose life was filled with promise. Everyone who knew her loved her, which is why a crime like this devastates so many people.
As we conclude this episode, we remember Aniah not for the tragedy that befell her, but for the light she brought into the world, a light that continues to shine through the lives she touches even now. Thanks for joining us, and please remember, if you or someone you know needs help, advocates at the National Domestic Violence Hotline are available to talk confidentially with anyone in the United States who is experiencing domestic violence, seeking resources or information, or questioning unhealthy aspects of their relationship. Call 1-800-799-SAFE 7233. Be sure to like and subscribe to Murder You podcast, and don't forget to watch on our YouTube channel.